The first separation happened before the rapture. What it reveals about those taken. What if Jesus gave us a picture of separation long before Christians began debating the details of the rapture? When Jesus described the days surrounding his coming, he reached back into history, not first to a future war or a mysterious sign in the heavens, but to the days of Noah. He said, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Matthew 24 verses 7. People were eating, drinking, marrying, and continuing with ordinary life. Then suddenly, everything changed. Noah entered the ark, the flood came, and a separation that had been forming quietly for years became irreversible. Jesus then used words that have captured the attention of generations. "Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left." Matthew 24:40. Christians interpret some details of this passage differently, including precisely how taken and left relate to judgment and the rapture. But one truth is unmistakable. The coming of Christ brings a decisive separation, and Jesus uses Noah's generation to teach us about readiness. The most important question is therefore not simply who will be taken, it is what does Jesus want his followers to understand before that moment arrives? Part 1. The separation began before the flood arrived. When we imagine Noah's flood, we usually picture the moment rain began falling. But the real distinction between Noah and the world around him existed long before the first drop fell. Scripture says, "Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord." Genesis 6:8. Noah lived among a generation moving in another direction. While society continued normally, he listened to God. While others had no reason to expect judgment, Noah responded to a warning about something he had never experienced. Hebrews explains, "By faith Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark." Hebrews 11:7. His preparation was the outward evidence of inward faith. He acted because he believed what God had said. That means the visible separation at the flood was preceded by an invisible separation in the heart. Long before Noah entered the ark, he had already chosen to trust God. And that principle matters for anyone waiting for Christ. Readiness does not suddenly begin when the final sign appears. It is being formed in the choices you make today. Part 2. Ordinary life made the warning easy to ignore. Jesus described Noah's generation in surprisingly ordinary terms. They were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. Matthew 24:38. None of those activities is inherently sinful. That is precisely what makes the warning powerful. Life appeared normal. People had plans. Families were being formed. Meals were being shared. Tomorrow seemed certain because yesterday had looked ordinary too. Then Jesus says, they continued until the day that Noah entered into the ark. The danger was not simply that people were living ordinary lives. It was that ordinary life continued while they remained unaware of what was approaching. Jesus says, "and knew not until the flood came and took them all away." Matthew 24:39. The same danger exists today. Work matters, family matters, responsibilities matter, but ordinary things can become spiritually dangerous when they make eternity feel irrelevant. You can become so occupied building a life that you stop preparing to meet the one who gave you life. Part 3. Jesus described a separation that happens suddenly. After speaking about Noah, Jesus immediately gives a striking picture. "Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left." Matthew 24:40. Then he says, "Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left." Matthew 24 verse 41. Notice the setting. These people are not standing at a prophetic conference waiting for something spectacular. They are working. They are carrying out ordinary responsibilities. The separation interrupts normal life. This echoes Paul's description of the sudden transformation awaiting believers, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. 1 Corinthians 15:52. Whatever position someone holds on the detailed sequence of end times events, Scripture repeatedly emphasizes that God's decisive moments can arrive suddenly. That is why Jesus immediately says, "Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come." Matthew 24:42. The uncertainty of the timing is not intended to produce panic. It is intended to produce readiness. Part 4. Those who belong to Christ are known before the moment comes. One of the deepest truths about biblical separation is that God is not confused about who belongs to him. Paul writes, "The Lord knoweth them that are his." 2 Timothy 2:19. From a human perspective, two people can appear almost identical. They may work together, attend the same church, hear the same sermons, and speak the same Christian language. Yet external similarity cannot reveal everything happening in the heart. Jesus gave a similar warning in the parable of the 10 virgins. All 10 expected the bridegroom. All 10 carried lamps. All 10 became sleepy. But when the bridegroom finally came, Jesus says, "They that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut." Matthew 25:10. Readiness is therefore deeply personal. You cannot inherit another person's faith. You cannot depend upon your family's relationship with Christ or your church attendance alone. Salvation is by God's grace through faith. For Scripture says, "For by grace are ye saved through faith." Ephesians 2:8. The question is whether you personally belong to Christ. Part 5. The warning about separation is really a call to readiness. Jesus does not give the image of one taken and another left, merely to satisfy curiosity about prophecy. He tells us exactly how we should respond. "Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh." Matthew 24:44. That command changes everything. If your study of the rapture produces endless speculation but no spiritual transformation, you may be missing the purpose of the warning. Prophecy should make us more faithful, not merely more fascinated. Being ready does not mean living in terror that every sound could be the final trumpet. It means trusting Christ today. It means returning when you wander. It means allowing Scripture to expose compromise. It means forgiving, praying, loving, and sharing the gospel while opportunity remains. Paul describes the Christian hope with extraordinary clarity. "For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout." 1 Thessalonians 4:16. "And believers will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." 1 Thessalonians 4:17. The destination of our hope is not simply escape. It is meeting Jesus. Conclusion. The final separation reveals a choice already made. The first separation in Noah's story did not begin when the rain started falling. It began when one man believed God enough to respond to his word, while the surrounding world continued as though nothing would change. When the flood finally arrived, it revealed publicly what had already existed privately. That is why Jesus points us back to Noah when teaching about his coming. "As the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Matthew 24:37. The warning is not given so that we can confidently label everyone around us as taken or left. It is given so that we examine whether we ourselves are ready. One day, ordinary life will be interrupted by the fulfillment of God's promise. Until then, do not spend all your time trying to identify who will be taken. Make sure you know the one who is coming. Trust Jesus. Remain in his word. Keep your faith alive when the world appears completely normal. Noah prepared before the rain. The wise virgins prepared before the midnight cry. And Jesus tells us to prepare before the unknown hour arrives. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. Matthew 24, verse 42. The separation may happen suddenly, but readiness begins long before it.